Rhythm, uniting many complicated forms, is the pleasurable thing. Raphael made himself into Perugino. He became him, then he became better than him, so he became restless and wanted something else. Working for 2 years with Perugino on these beautiful frescoes in the Collegio del Cambio, a money-changing place in Perugia, Raphael heard about the artistic success of Leonardo and Michelangelo in Florence. So finally, in 1504, when he was 21, Raphael decided to go there and become them. The great art of Michelangelo. His statue of David had just been set up. Leonardo was on the council that decided where it should go. Raphael arrived with a letter of introduction to this art power scene in Florence. It was written for him by the wife of the Duke of Montefeltro. It established Raphael's credentials as a serious painter. He was in the city where Renaissance art began 100 years before, and in the studios of the artists who are now the stars of Renaissance style. He was 30 years younger than Leonardo and 8 years younger than Michelangelo. Later on, Michelangelo was to hate Raphael, but in this period, history only records that he disliked Leonardo. If Michelangelo and Leonardo's personal relationship was a damp squib, artistically it was the fiery furnace in which Raphael forged the visual ideas that would go into the Madonna of the Meadow. When Leonardo drew a Madonna and Child, like this, Michelangelo saw it, and his response was to carve this. So that when Raphael saw the carving, he quickly did a lot of sketches of it, like this. Which led to this. One of a whole series of variations on the Madonna and Child theme that Raphael painted in Florence, 20 of them in all. Sometimes he made it simple, like this. Sometimes he made it more complicated. Serene, kind face, rich, bright colours, hazy landscape in the background, beautiful field. And when he twisted the Madonna's body in a different way and cast the light of the painting differently, it became this, the Madonna of the Meadow. An archive of evidence in the British Museum in London shows that the energy of the influence from Leonardo was all conducted through drawing. When you see drawings by Raphael in an atmosphere of loving, careful conservation, like they are here in the British Museum, you're seeing them in a very different atmosphere, in a very different context than when they were originally done. When they were done, there would have been scraps lying around. At most, there would have been tools or resources leading up to making the painting, because the ideal didn't yet exist of a genius artist whose every thought process was of interest to anyone. It was, in fact, with Raphael that that ideal becomes established. And as soon as Raphael died, all his scraps and drawings were collected and revered. So at the very early stage of working on a painting, Raphael will do a drawing. And that drawing, you would imagine, would be absolutely marvellous, with the highlights in the eyes and the fingernails done beautifully and every strand of hair done fantastically, and everything looking very real, like we expect a Renaissance painting to be. But in fact, the drawing is nothing like that. So drawing by Raphael at the early stages is not about capturing a bit of anatomical accuracy. It's about finding a bit of formal abstract beauty, finding abstract beauty in the human body. And the nature of that abstract beauty is flow. He's finding some kind of flow between the separate parts of the human body and between separate bodies. And out of a few scribbly curves done with a pen, he's finding a form that will unite head with head, or hand with hand, or body with other body, so that everything seems to be happening in one single movement, rather than a lot of bits all tied together. So Raphael's coming up with all that on a piece of paper that's only about 8 or 9 inches, more or less square, holding it in his hand, pretty much as I'm holding it now. And he would have done it probably in a little bit less time than it took me to talk about it.
From a continuous process of drawing, many dozens of them, where he never stays for long on one thing, he arrives at all the individual forms that he needs to make the whole perfect effect.
And in his mind, when he's doing it, he's got the memory of drawings shown to him by Leonardo, who was generous enough to make his work available to Raphael when Raphael was in Florence, and talk him through what he was doing. For example, he's got a picture here where he's working through, in the form of a sort of pen and ink scribble, a conception of the Virgin and Child with a cat in the lap of Jesus. The cat is struggling, it's full of movements. Jesus is holding on to it, Mary is holding on to Jesus. And you can see that at one point Mary's head was in a different position, and then it ends up being over there. And on the other side of the paper, Leonardo has continued scribbling. The same theme, Mary, Jesus and the cat, but with an entirely different abstract conception of form, making those human and animal forms beautiful, making them flow in an entirely different way to what he was doing in the scribble on the other side. And it's that flow that Raphael is interested in.
What he learned from Michelangelo in Florence was hard, crisp, clear lines and a bright, crystalline atmosphere. Michelangelo reinterpreted Leonardo in his own way with his painting The Holy Family. And Raphael reinterpreted them both in his way with the Madonna of the Meadow. Raphael got stimulation from Michelangelo, but he also got clients from him. The wealthy elite who bought Renaissance art looked around their Renaissance environment and they saw pictures by Leonardo and Michelangelo and Raphael of saints and angels. And they said, how about seeing pictures as good as this of me or of my wife? A look established by Renaissance art for how saints and angels and Jesus and Mary should appear is now adapted for how portraits of the wealthy should appear. So they can see themselves glowing like elevated beings. Leonardo gives the wife of a merchant the look of a Madonna. The result is the Mona Lisa. It's the emergence in art history of the secular portrait. A client close up in a painting by Raphael, and the client's wife in a companion portrait. The Donnis, painted by Raphael in 1506, Agnello Doni and his wife Maddalena. The pictures celebrate their marriage. They got Raphael to do the job because they wanted his artistic greatness to be associated with them, so their becoming a couple was understood to be great too.
But with these portraits, Raphael also celebrates the couple of great artists who've now become his inspiration, Michelangelo and Leonardo. With Raphael's portrait of Maddalena in particular, Raphael emulates Leonardo's Mona Lisa. Seen in Leonardo's studio, the Mona Lisa has become a model for Raphael to continue and develop, maybe even improve. He gets rid of Leonardo's mysterious, smoky light effects and substitutes instead something like the high colour of Michelangelo's Holy Family.